be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
It's time to go one-on-one with DP. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Downtown Lincoln Foundation. Here is your host, Derek Pearson.
Wednesday boom for you here from One-on-One on 93.7 The Ticket. I'm Jake Bachman in studio with Austin Orman today, and we've got 2 hours to hang out with you here on a Wednesday. And what better way to do it than today, because the national championship expectations are back at Nebraska. We'll get to that here in just a second. Why am I saying that, you wonder? Again, we will get to that here in just a second. But Austin, how's it going today?
Oh, it was better before I heard national championship expectations, and I was nearly very lucky that O Street is about 10 steps away. But you talked me off the proverbial ledge. Maybe you talked me off the curb, and I'm here anyways.
It's going to make for a very interesting talking point today, because I was going into it before I saw the latest from Anthony Calandra chatting here with Pete Nakos, and we will we'll get to that again here in just a second about what that was. But, of course, there's been lots of talk here about the $29 million roster that Nebraska has. Is that going to be enough to compete with the Oregons and the Ohio States of the world? And should Nebraska be focused on that as opposed to getting over the Iowa and Minnesota hump and all that? So, again, all that is going to blend into this discussion. But then I was gifted some gold here with Pete Nakos tweeting this out. So now we can run with it. And the quiet off season is done. It has been somewhat of a quiet off season for Nebraska, at least as far as expectations and talks about what it is coming into this season. But no longer is that the case. Again, Pete Nakos, working for On3, tweeted out, or I guess On3 tweeted out, Nebraska quarterback Anthony Calandra tells Pete Nakos, expectations have changed in Lincoln. Says, you're not here to just not win a national championship. I'm not coming here to just win 8 or 9 games. I want to win a national championship. There you have it. Goes on to say, I want to go to the playoffs. I have high expectations, and we have high expectations as a team. When I first got here, it felt like the bar was 8 or 9 wins, and I was like, no, we want to win 11, 12 games. We've got to go win. That's the biggest thing. He also had a tweet that of some other players we can get to real quickly while we're on the Twitter sphere. He also said Anthony Calandra told On3, this was from Pete Nakos again, he's been impressed by UCLA transfer Quasi Gilmer. Wide receiver Quinn Clark is going to be a big piece. Ja'Cory Barney is a really good player, and he also expects freshman running back Matt Rule to have a huge impact for us. And they've got an article up too. So at least a little bit of making some headlines here. I don't know if at this point in time that's going to be the lead story on ESPN, but here at Nebraska, it certainly is interesting to kind of dive through it, because, of course, every team's goal should be to kind of have that, whether you a national championship, win every game, all that sort of stuff. But whether you kind of speak out on it is interesting. And Calandra, of course, just coming to town. Doesn't have any history of what kind of has been going on here, and that it was pretty much, last year at Big Ten Media, Dylan Raiola, Matt Rowe. I mean, this was spoken out already at Big Ten Media Day, didn't play out, so now it was kind of, hey, maybe quiet off season here, maybe the rest of the team I was just very interested in especially that he said when he got here the expectations seemed to be 8 to 9 wins. And he wants to shut that down. And it's almost as it's like the rest of the everybody else there knew, yeah, but we don't want to start something here. And here it has been started again. I don't think it's bad for your quarterback to want to win every game. I don't think it's bad to try to bring that confidence level up. but it certainly is. It makes it for an interesting talking point here on our opening segment of One-on-One.
Yeah, I'm surprised that it took until May to get this, and I'd been lulled into a false sense of security that we wouldn't have those words thrown around in this context at all. And I should have known better. I fell for the banana in the tailpipe, if you will. I walked around the car to find it, and here we are. I think it's just so interesting in light of the $29 million roster deal, and now this, coming out on back-to-back days, or, 2 of the last 3 days. I forget when the discourse started officially. But I think all sides can be right. I think you can say $29 million, that's a lot of money, and you should be winning more games than you are with that level of investment, especially if you think that wins and dollars have at least some level of correlation to them. Nebraska hasn't been the 25th to 30th best team in the country with the 25th to 30th ranked spending. You can also be completely right and say, for Nebraska to get to where Nebraska fans want and expect it to be in the long run, clearly that's not enough. Clearly they're falling behind, or Nebraska is going to need to strike gold on a developmental system that they haven't found for the better part of the last 20 years consistently, maybe the last 10 years, if you want to be incredibly charitable. And then you can get to this thing from Calandria. Oh, well, everyone else's expectations were 8 or 9. Mine were 11 and 12. Great. Both can be right. 8 to 9 wins would be a step up. 8 to 9 wins would feel like a step in the right direction for Nebraska. There's no reason that the starting quarterback shouldn't be thinking 11 or 12, running the table, winning every game that they set foot on the field to play, because I go back to what Lane Kiffin said yesterday as well. I mean, year 1, we'll see, but years 2 and 3, that's what we're really built for. Indiana disproved a lot of that. There's no reason that you can't have that class that comes in as a spark, as the one that completely shatters the expectations, that overachieves beyond what fans' most optimistic projections could be. I don't have confidence that's going to happen at Nebraska, because we've been waiting those 10 to 15 years in the wilderness for that one group to break through, and we haven't necessarily seen it. So, no, Calandria is probably saying the right thing. I can respect it. I understand it. Do I think it's likely to happen? No, but I don't think that, it's so wrong for him to say in his position.
Yeah, it's just, again, it's so interesting, because I think it's, where you say things and who you say them to, might be a little bit different than just kind of perceiving or thinking that internally or, toward the team. And that's where I think it is interesting. And maybe they have had more of a relaxed approach to that this year. And maybe we're just, again, we're just jumping the gun. Maybe we go to Big Ten Media Days. Matt Rule's all about national championships and all that. And it's just funny because of how you word things, is that Calandria gave you specific numbers here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just something I think I would avoid if I were thinking about it at this point.
And he probably didn't, know what he was doing.
Right.
There are 12 regular season games. Yeah, let's go 11. Let's win them all. Is what I think he was getting at. I don't think he was trying to say this is our target expectation, or bust. But to your point, I think you do have to be cognizant of how it plays when you say it.
Yeah. And so, again, it just goes back to maybe what we call coach speak, or like just certain ways to dress things up. I think if you go out there and say, we want to win every game that we step on the field, then you're saying the same thing, right? We want to win 11 or 12 games this year without actually putting a number on it. Because now it makes it very interesting, too. Like, if Nebraska wins 8 regular season games, I think we would all be pretty happy. Certainly if they win 9 regular season games. Again, a lot of it depends on how it looks. Things break down. But, I mean, there's an outside possibility we wouldn't. But for the most part, I think we'd be pretty happy at that. Now you can kind of come back to him and say, is this kind of what you were hoping for? Is this a little bit disappointing compared to your preseason expectation? But again, certainly I think it can be good for your leader to kind of do that. And then the other thing is too, and we were just talking about this, DP mentioned it up the other day. Adam was talking about it yesterday. Is there a face for Nebraska football? Like, who is the current face of Nebraska football? I think Anthony Calandria just answered that.
Oh, it's him. It's the quarterback. It's always been the quarterback, and I don't think that's any shock necessarily. But I still struggle to get there. I still think Matt Rule is the face of Nebraska for better or worse. In terms of the roster, it's got to be the quarterback, because there's not an Emmett Johnson on this roster. You can argue it was Dylan Raiola or Emmett Johnson at times last year. Certainly Emmett Johnson once Dylan Raiola went down, even though there were still plenty of headlines around the quarterback. But who's the headliner on defense? Who's the headliner on even special teams? If you want to go that far to go full Iowa, with Tory Taylor being the face of the program at times. No, I'm just mostly kidding, Iowa fans. But I still think the face of that program is Matt Rule. But I want to be fair. I think it's that way across college sports. Who's the face of Texas? Arch Manning? Probably the exception. Because Kirby Smart's the face of Georgia. Kalen DeBoer's the face of Alabama. Dabo Swinney's the face of Clemson. Would you make an argument for Dante Moore over Dan Lanning? I don't know if I would. I think Dan Lanning has become the face of that Oregon program up and down the list. Lane Kiffin is the face of LSU. Pete Golding more than Trinidad Chambliss, I would argue, at Ole Miss based on some of the comments that he's been making. And so I don't think it's wrong that the head coach is the face of the program necessarily.
No, I think that's right. And especially in college sports, so much roster turnover. And so I do think it is important to kind of say the kind of the roster face, if you will. All that being said, of course, if you're, you're going to put up a billboard in Times Square, it's not going to be Pete Golding. It's going to be Trinidad Chambliss, right? So it just kind of depends on the way you look at that. But I think in general, in college sports, it should be, the coach is kind of the face of the program. And, momentarily or at times a player might be able to exceed that. But for how long, right? I mean, then he's going to be go on and hopefully if you're that dominant of a player, be the face of a pro franchise, or at least, a big part of it. So, that part's certainly interesting too. I'm interested too what the part that most interested me in the quote is, when I got here, it felt like the bar was 8 or 9 wins. Who's that coming from? Are you talking about the general talk around town? Because that hasn't changed since you got here. I think that's still kind of the idea as far as outside expectations in Lincoln, outside the program. If he's talking about that internally, and then maybe once he got here, kind of moved it around, that would obviously be. It's big to say that, because it kind of is already kind of showing your influence on the program if he's talking about internally. But I mean, again, that would be very welcome, because if internally they're thinking 8 or 9 wins, then they're going to have some pretty tough Saturdays once you get there and you think, well, this isn't one I necessarily checked off.
If they're thinking 8 or 9 wins, or they're thinking 11 or 12 wins, I would argue they're thinking wrong. I don't think that it's on the team to put a number on it. It's not on the team to do the preseason projection things. And it's the human thing. It's the simple thing where, okay, you look at the schedule. Yeah, feel like we should beat them. We'll have a chance in this one if we play well. And now they're pretty good. So we'll see if we can pull off an upset. It's natural. It's human. It's normal. But there better not be, a win target or a win number posted on that wall necessarily. I think it's maybe a little bit different for, a program like Husker baseball right now, right? Who's just a couple wins away from breaking 40, which is kind of a magic number. You don't want to lose sight of the end goal, which is just to play your best ball, every time you get a chance to step out there on the field, on the court, or whatever. But especially for Husker football in this program, I think it still has such a fragile psyche. And maybe Calandre's in to change that. Maybe one guy can affect that change. Maybe he can't. But I think that if you make that your target and you try to go through the games in your head, it's a dangerous game to play, because if you upset someone, or more likely if you get upset, what does that do to the psyche? The easiest thing to control is how you're going to go out there and practice, which leads into how you're going to go out there and play. And if Nebraska's talented enough and Nebraska's consistent enough, guess what? You'll put more wins on the board. If Nebraska is not as tough as they think they are, if their habits aren't where they need to be, well, then 8 or 9 is going to be even harder to achieve. And then I just worry about the risk of that snowballing. Well, we lost this one and we shouldn't have. We got to press to make it back. So I'm going to quit doing my job and go further. So I wonder if any number has been thrown around in that building. I would hope not. Or I wonder if that's what the players are interpreting the offseason coaching points as. And in their minds, that's what that would translate to.
Yeah, it especially in today's age, it's very interesting, because would you rather go 12-0 or 9-3 in the regular season? Certainly 12-0, but either way might get you the playoffs. And that's the goal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, once the playoffs gets out, you know, seeding, all that sort of stuff, you get it. But all you can ask for is an opportunity, and that's what you want to kind of put yourself into. So I think partially, and I don't want to say 9 because there's no guarantee, obviously, at 9. So you don't set the bottom, you know, you don't set that as at the ultimate. But that's the goal of every team. And I think, you know, maybe instead of even saying national championship, because I think that can also kind of put you in the crossfire at times, is saying we want to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because that's the very basic goal of every team that's playing college football this year. And why wouldn't it be? It's just a chance to compete for a national championship while kind of giving yourself some grace and saying, once we get there, then maybe we can make a run, or, you know, kind of this whole talk of like, because I mean, when you say that now, it is the same thing we were talking about with that roster, and we'll get more into, is like, hey, are you skipping some steps? It very much feels like if you're saying Nebraska in the national championship conversation, meanwhile preseason projections has them as maybe a top 50 team, more toward top 55, top 60 team. It does seem like you're skipping some steps,
which again has been known to happen. We've seen it before. Has Nebraska ever done it? Not in a long time. Not in a while. Nebraska didn't even have, you know, that pop-up, you know, 9-3 year under Scott Frost, you know, when you thought, oh, well, maybe everything just magically comes together. This is their chance. And so the other way that I would maybe view this is it's okay if making the playoff is the first step against a, you know, in some cases manageable, in other cases difficult schedule that'll present some opportunities for Nebraska to pick up, you know, marquee wins and, you know, notable enough wins as well to make a dent and an impact on the race. But I go back to the early 2010s as a Royals fan. That team, all Royals fans wanted was just to make the playoffs. We weren't begging for another World Series. Of course, it would be nice, but just make the playoffs. You've been building and building and building for so long with nothing to show for it at the major league level. All these prospects, which, you know, recruits essentially in college football, with all this promise who come up or never even make it to begin with, when is it finally going to pay off? With at least a playoff berth. I know qualification is different in baseball and football, but, you know, they fall just short in 2013, but okay, steps in the right direction. Can this be Nebraska's 2013? Because then in 2014, that's when the Royals went on the miracle run, you know, near the top of the division by the end of the year after being about 500 by the All-Star break. They bounce back. They cling to a wild card berth, win a miracle game to get the playoffs started, and then sweep their way through to the World Series before ultimately winning it all in 2015. Do I think that's going to happen? No, not necessarily. But I think that it's reasonable for fans to dream. Other teams cut the line. Other teams have had years of toil and disappointment pay off eventually. When is it Nebraska's turn to either take that positive step, a noticeably positive step, not a technicality positive step, or skip parts of the line entirely?
Oh, yeah. And then again, but you got to look at the perspective too, because I think from, again, a fan base that's sitting back and watch through all this and thinking about, okay, logical steps forward to maybe reachable goals, those sort of things, it is good. But for Kalander, it's his last year. I mean, he doesn't have a 3-year plan. He's if he wants to win a national championship, and whose goal wouldn't be, you know, that's his goal. He's a starting quarterback at the college football level. You know, it's got to happen this year. So again, very interesting conversation that we're having here at the Calandria, talking with Pete Nakos of On3, saying that the expectation was a little bit low for him, and says now we want to win 11, 12 games. We got to go win. And says, I want to win a national championship. So,
you know the funniest thing about that quote?
What's that?
Is that it's the very last thing in this article.
Oh, yeah.
They bury it as the very last paragraphs.
That's very interesting because it's also the lead of their tweet.
Yes. Make you read all the way through just to get all the context for everything leading up to that quote. We don't lead with that and work backwards. We don't stick it right in the middle where there's a build up and then a little bit of a ramp down. Nope, we save that till the very end.
Hey, leave it, end on a good note, right?
I guess.
There's that. We got plenty of reaction from you guys off the text line off YouTube. We will read that. We'll get to that when we come back here from the short break on 1-on-1 on 93.7 The Ticket.
Are you looking for something different for lunch or dinner in Lincoln? Big 8 is now open at 1226 P Street, serving seafood boils and Asian cuisine. Get your hands messy with fresh, flavorful seafood boils, hot, cold, and made to share. Or enjoy classic Chinese and Asian dishes, perfect for lunch, dinner, or a night out with friends and family. Big flavors, generous portions, and a brand new dining experience. Big 8, now open in Lincoln.
When you or someone you know has been seriously injured and you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will fight for the justice you deserve in court to get the very best possible outcome. Trust the compassionate and hardworking attorneys at Liberty Law Group when you need an attorney in Nebraska or Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
Several irrigation contractors in Lincoln go out of business every year, leaving sprinkler system orphans begging for service. The folks at Judson Irrigation shed a tear for these little fellas. They've been coddling these orphans for more than 40 years. From redesign, repairing, replacing, and restoring, remember the Judson Irrigation Orphanage.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
Sandhills Global is growing right here in Lincoln. With our expanding campus and continued growth, we're hiring across a wide range of careers, from interns to experienced professionals. Join the team at Sandhills Global and build your career with competitive pay, great benefits, and real opportunities to grow. Visit sandhills.jobs to view openings and apply today. That's sandhills.jobs.
Green's Furnace and Plumbing has been servicing the southeast Nebraska area since 1921, specializing in HVAC systems, bathroom remodels, duct cleaning, backflow testing, and so much more. With a network of trained technicians ready to assist you, Green's Furnace and Plumbing is your source for dedicated commercial HVAC service for your business, building, or even your home, so it can run without all those unwanted interruptions. Learn more by visiting their website at callgreens.com or give them a call at 402-467-4444 today.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Gaina Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Gaina Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Gaina Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at gainatrucking.com.
Spring sports are here and it's time to upgrade your equipment. But don't go rushing to your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Looking for something fun tonight? Axe throwing, local beer, and great vibes are waiting at Arbor Axe House. From casual nights out to celebrations and team events, it all starts here. Reserve a lane today at arboraxe.com. Arbor Axe House at the corner of N Street and Antelope Valley.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills Global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Now's the time to schedule your air conditioner service check with Bryant. Make sure it's ready to keep you cool and comfortable when you really need it. Call Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating, 467-1111.
Rick Heyman here from Sartor Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Sartor Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at sartorheyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions. Back to One-on-One with DP. Sponsored by the Downtown Lincoln Foundation on 93.7 The Ticket.
We are back here on One-on-One on 93.7 The Ticket. Myself, Jake Bachman, and Austin Orman in studio with you here still for the next hour and a half as we lead up to Bach in the Black Shirt. Of course, character off on Wednesdays. Anthony Lionheart-Smith usually in. He couldn't quite make it. Of course, DP still out. So myself and Austin will keep the conversation rolling.
We people confused. I get confused for Anthony Smith all the time.
Yeah.
We're about the same build.
Yeah, something like that. How many fights have you been in your life?
I'll get back to you on that one.
Yeah, too many to count, right? You gotta add them all up.
1, 2. I'm already too high.
That's too many. But yeah, so we're having a lot of fun here, and we're going to read your texts. We want to know what you think, because the headline of the show is the national championship expectations are back at Nebraska. This coming from a report here from Pete Nakos and On3. Again, I'll read the tweet where Anthony Calandra told Pete Nakos expectations have changed in Lincoln. So we're not here to not just win a championship. I'm not coming here to just win 8 or 9 games. I want to win a national championship. I want to go to the playoffs. I have high expectations, and we have high expectations as a team. When I first got here, it felt like the bar was 8 or 9 wins, and I was like, no, we want to win 11, 12 games. We've got to go win. That's the biggest thing. And that is the true statement there at the end. We've got to go win. That is definitely the biggest thing. But it is started kind of an interesting conversation about whether those expectations and hopes should be verbalized to the national media and to the media in general, again, from Nebraska football, from their new signal caller. So wanted to get to your reaction. We'll start off of YouTube here. Omaha 402 Nebraska says, I saw on 3 video where Clanner said, I'm not here to not just win 8 games. It's been 10 years since we won 8 games. We can at least do that before thinking bigger. Good grief. Kind of interesting is, between even the YouTube chat, your Captain Cody says, no, why should he lower his expectations? The basketball team's goal wasn't just to win 1 tournament game. So it's kind of interesting. Again, I think that's probably what you're going to see from a lot of different people and different thoughts is probably not a lot of middle ground is, hey, let's prove it on the field before we talk it, as opposed to, yeah, why wouldn't that be your expectation?
Well, it goes back to what we were talking about. I mean, what are the team's expectations? I don't think there's a number on it. I think the team's expectations are to just go out and play better football more consistently and see where the chips fall. And I tend to find myself in that builder kind of mentality. Step at a time, brick at a time, head down, keep working, look up at the end, you'll see how far you've come. In sports, progress isn't necessarily linear. Time after time, we see teams take a bigger jump or a bigger step back than expected. Think about all the teams that across sports we think about, okay, this is their year. They've built for it. They've gotten, a win better this year, 2 wins better last year, a win worse with some tougher scheduled games or whatever. And here comes their big jump, right? They're battle tested, they're experienced, the roster's back, they're proven. They're going to take a big jump. And then they have the same record the next year. Well, what happened? What went wrong? Were they not as good as we thought they were? They underachieve, they don't have it in them, whatever. And then maybe the next year is the jump where they add 3 wins to the tally. Or you go from Indiana, winning 2 games to winning, 10, 11 games to making the college football playoff and then winning the whole dang thing. There is no one blueprint. There is no one path that you have to travel to make it to the college football playoff or to make it to a national championship caliber team. There's not, step for step, build the house this way. It's different every place. Other places have found a blueprint that's worked for them. The Indiana blueprint probably won't work for Nebraska. At least it hasn't yet to this point, if that's even what Nebraska's trying to do. There's a blueprint for Nebraska out there somewhere. It's not going to look the same. It's not going to be, the cookie cutter kind of first house out there in suburbia. No, it's going to look different. There's going to be some character to it. There's going to be some charm. There's going to be, some costs that you didn't expect. There are going to be some corners that they get cut, and you hope it doesn't bite you later. But, I don't think that you can say, no, Nebraska has to go from 5 wins to 6 wins to 7 wins to 8 wins to 9 wins to 10 wins, because that's just not the nature of sports. But I also think that it's hard to expect Nebraska to cut the line right now. And so until we see Nebraska make a bigger jump, it's probably easiest to wrap our head around, just win a couple more games. Just get to a slightly better bowl game, even though neither option is necessarily true in the one way that it can happen or needs to happen.
Well, I think that's so interesting. And you're right. If there was a blueprint that was just tried and true and that's what worked, then everybody would do it, right? So it can be difficult. I was just even thinking, through some of the coaches that have failed in the Big Ten, currently failing, like a Luke Fickell or Scott Frost. You can think, man, are these kind of group of five darlings working in the Big Ten? You're kind of struggling, and then you go back to, but Kirk Cignetti, and Kirk Cignetti, of course, is the ultimate example to knock anybody from their theory before. One of the most amazing things we've seen in college football, but of course there are other examples as well. So there's just there's just no one way to do it. And then the other thing is, I think you're right about is, I guess a few different points I was thinking through that is that Calandra even mentioned was this 8 or 9 win bar or expectation. I think that 9 wins is so rooted now into Nebraska football after having fired 2 9-win coaches and struggling to get back to that. That feels like at least the baseline expectation for Nebraska football. But before we kind of had that settled in, to your point, you go back to like the 2006 season when they had 9 wins. And so the idea was with Callahan and everything was, maybe the program's moving forward. 2007 was supposed to be this huge year. And then they dropped to 5 wins. And I think part of that also plays in this conversation because I was thinking about that season specifically. That was a much better team than 5 wins. The bottom fell out. They were kind of exposed early and never really were able to regain themselves, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And that can happen, I think, and is part of the maybe cause for pause here is that
the Cosgrove for pause here.
Cosgrove, I don't have to bring Cosgrove back. But just in general, like I think that can be the fear of having too high of expectations is that if you're disappointed in your early your non-con or your early season results, it can kind of throw you off from when, hey, I thought we were going to win a national championship or being a playoff team. Now, do I have the motivation to just fight to get to a bowl game or whatever it might be, or get to 7, 8 wins? And that's what very well could come back. I mean, this talking point could be very interesting if Nebraska is sitting on 7 or 8 wins heading to Iowa City, right? I mean, it's like, well, is this the goal? Are you still happy with the results? All that sort of thing. So it kind of opens things up for a little bit of scrutiny on the back part. But when you're out in front of it, again, Calandra doesn't have all these kind of step-by-step approach, and he wants to do it all at once, which is fair. Again, to your point, I think the linear path that we expect at Nebraska, I think is partially because we just haven't seen too much jumping around, right? It's not like, and specifically your struggles against top 25 opponents is that if you get an upset every once in a while, every 2 years, right? You still feel, hey, we're not as far as what it might look like on some of these other Saturdays. Remember that time we went out there and competed with the tops in the nation, and Nebraska still has that in close losses. But I think that's why it is hard for us to rack our brains kind of around this all at once jump as opposed to step by step, because Nebraska has just furthered itself in years, and of course has made some strides in the last couple of years, but they feel like they need to take some steps before you do take a giant step.
Yeah, and I think that's the perfect way to phrase it, is that Nebraska fans have been waiting for just 8 or just 9 since Bo Pelini left town. I mean, yeah, I know he had the Mike Riley year in there, but okay, so since year 2 of Mike Riley, Buck, that was a decade ago. That was 2016. 10 years.
Yeah.
10 seasons without even 9 wins. And so I think for Nebraska fans, they see a college football playoff experiences, dining at this Michelin star restaurant, maybe even not that far, but it's like, oh, this is a really classy meal I get to go to. It's not like you have to eat McDonald's for breakfast and then work your way up to like Texas Roadhouse for lunch. And then, by supper time, you're at this highly rated, exclusive restaurant. No, you can go from McDonald's to, that other place, right? But not necessarily easily, not consistently. It takes a lot going right. And it takes the underlying ingredients being correct, right? If more of the underlying ingredients for Nebraska football were correct, they probably would have won, another additional game, one of these 2 years, right? Or 3 years. Let's not forget Nebraska was on the verge of bowl eligibility in year 1 under Matt Rule. That would have been cutting the line. It would have been skipping the line in some degree, right? Off the 4-8 season at the end there, they improved by 1 win when they had the opportunity to improve by 3 wins, you would say, right? With the Michigan State, Maryland, and Wisconsin, even Iowa, if you want to throw that Iowa game into the mix. Nebraska had 9-3 well within its grasp. Okay, it didn't happen. Maybe it was smoke and mirrors with all the quarterback turmoil that Nebraska had, and maybe they were just piecemealing it together. And, maybe the next year, if it was just a 6-6, would have felt like a big step back. But we would have looked at that first team and said, man, they really pieced it together. Look at that coaching job. These guys know what they're doing. Stuff is in place. We understand, with the new quarterback coming in, a little bit new system, that it was going to look a little bit different. And then to improve by 1 win last year, well, hey, look at that. Starting quarterback went down. The future's bright. That's not the conversation we're having, because Nebraska then didn't cut the line. And because Nebraska taking, 1 step at a time from 5 to 6 to 7 looks like it's going to be interrupted this year. It doesn't look like Nebraska's getting to 8 unless a lot goes really right for this program. And so you might see a bit of a backslide. Maybe you can argue the program's still in the right direction. Maybe they'll play better football and fall short. It's not going to feel good if that's the case. But I can understand why fans get into that mindset of just get 1 win better, maybe 2 wins better. We don't want to be too greedy, because asking for that miracle, skipping the line to that degree, feels like it's happened for other people, but just not even the bare minimum of 1 or 2 more for Nebraska.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it can't all happen at once. It's hard to predict. Hopefully that is the case. But again, very interesting to kind of put some numbers on it, because I think the biggest thing, and when you ask about Nebraska as a program, like what's the expectation, and we've got somebody kind of fighting back about the 9-win expectation. 7417 says, let's cut the 9-win BS. Husker fans weren't satisfied with that. Those that wanted Bo fired got everything that they deserve. Is kind of what it looks like too. And of course, from the letting go of Solich back in the day, it was, we're not going to let Texas and Oklahoma take over the program. Of course, the Bo Pelini, going on from him, as we have to evaluate where Iowa is, right? And so those words have came back to bite Nebraska over the years. But the biggest thing is whether it's 8, 9, 10 wins or more, I think that the biggest thing is that you take pride in what the team is out there doing, fighting among the nation's best. That you don't want to be blown out consistently, again, which was kind of happening with Bo there at the end against the better teams. And you want to win some of those. You want to be able to celebrate. I mean, my God, you're a fan. That's the whole point.
Right.
So, that's what I think Nebraska wants to do. And again, I think you can have 9-win seasons where that's somewhat the case, but not fulfilling all of those metrics. And you can have 8 or 7-win seasons where you do fulfill all those metrics. And but you don't get to that win total that you might not want to get to. Now, 7 wins, that's going to be particularly hard. But again, we saw it with, and I hate to do this, but I've been saying it for years now. I kind of want Nebraska to look like Iowa What I just said is what Iowa is. Now, they might not have the ceiling that we like to think Nebraska does, but, similar to what Wisconsin was before they steered on a different path, is that you're winning, you're playing every game, you're giving it your all, you can take pride in the effort, and they're competing more often than not against the best teams on their schedule. Again, Iowa hasn't crossed that point where they're winning a lot of those games. But that would be on that would at least be that kind of step where you feel like you're a step away, just to kind of get maybe one more player or, my God, a dual threat quarterback into Iowa once in a while.
Well, let me flip that around then on you, and you bring ceiling into it. Iowa strikes me, and I think a lot of other people, as an extremely high floor but pretty limited ceiling program. What if I told you Nebraska could get to 9-3 or 8-4? End up pulling off one of the upsets? You can pick your favorite between Indiana, Oregon, and Ohio State, but they drop one maybe they shouldn't, right? What if they go on the road, they lose at Michigan State, they lose at Maryland, they lose at Rutgers or something like that? Would you take that? Because then you can say, hey, look, Nebraska has the ceiling, and maybe 1 year, okay, it's just the one-off, it's the upset that Nebraska hasn't pulled. Arguably dating back to 2015, Michigan State, I think, is probably the last one you can make the case for. But if I told you that Nebraska had Iowa's record, anywhere between 9-3 and 7-5 every year, with, a marquee upset, but a bad loss, would you think that Nebraska is any closer? Or would you say they're still just as far away, because they're still losing to a team that you wouldn't expect?
Well, I would still say that they're closer. I mean, it's just like,
but are they closer than Iowa? Sorry.
Like, right. But that's what I look at Iowa. Iowa seems to be closer. Now, again, once you get to the ceiling discussion, again, you've got to have you got to be able to match up on the field at a certain point. I thought that was Wisconsin's troubles all those years is what I noticed was when they and that we could talk more about this, because I think it's altogether interesting, and we can tie it into like, who should you be aiming for right now? Mm-hmm. Ohio State or kind of Minnesota's and Iowa's, is that, hopefully at Nebraska's that you would have that extra whatever it is to be able to get a higher end athlete, right? And for Wisconsin, all those years when they would, and the Big Ten West in general, you just kind of throw it in there because it's got a certain style outside of, maybe Purdue that 1 year, would fall short and more often than not get blown out against the Ohio States of the world in the Big Ten championship game. But again, that would just come down to, like, you could see it on the field, like their safeties don't have the speed to cover the deep end against Ohio State, that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. Maybe Nebraska could elevate beyond that, or at least then you can pinpoint a little bit. Here is what we are short, right? It's not just this altogether, we need better everywhere. You can at least say, well, we've been grinding out offensive linemen, defensive linemen, that sort of stuff into the league. And we might need a few more skill position players. Again, if you're Iowa, maybe a dual threat quarterback, or Wisconsin all those years would seem to kind of work. Russell Wilson's an extreme example, but I always thought that was kind of interesting. But let's continue this conversation, because there's still a lot more to talk. We love our Husker football, and we've got lots of comments here on the text line I've got to get to too. We'll continue this discussion coming up next year on One-on-One.
Now's the time to schedule your air conditioner service check with Bryant. Make sure it's ready to keep you cool and comfortable when you really need it. Call Bryant Air Conditioning and Heating, 467-1111.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Coppell Chevrolet, GMC, and Chevrolet. And GMC Truck Month is here. Absolutely huge discounts and 2.9% for 72 months. I also just wanted to share a little bit more about the Coppell family. They've been serving the Omaha and Lincoln and surrounding communities for over 50 years with great customer service and small town charm. That's always been our motto, and we absolutely will not be undersold. It truly is confident buying and confident driving. So come on in, meet the team, check us out at Coppell or at CoppellCars.com. All deals with approved credit.
If you're seeking a career with a growing company, Dana Trucking and Excavating is hiring and looking for additions to their team. Dana Trucking has a strong team culture, competitive pay, 401ks, and benefits like health, dental, and vision. Drivers are guaranteed 40 hours per week, even in the winter months, and are home every night. Start your career today at Dana Trucking and Excavating. Apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Are you craving the ultimate game day experience? Red Zone Sports Bar and Grill has your front row seat. Dive into delicious wings, juicy burgers, and frosty drinks, all served up with TVs covering every inch of the walls so you'll never miss a play. Stop in for their incredible daily specials like $3 tall boys on Mondays, 5 wings for less than $6 on Wednesdays, and $20 beer buckets on Friday. Red Zone Sports Bar and Grill right by the Lincoln Airport at 3111 Northwest 12th Street.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
This is Jordy Ball for Anderson Ford. For years, Anderson has relied on an exceptional customer experience. But just this once, they're going to rely on a really great pitch.
Right now, lease a 2026 Ford F-150 for $197 per month for 36 months.
Experience better at Anderson Ford.
Stock number 1008753 at $199 per month, lease for 36 months with approved credit, 7,500 miles per year, $10,250 due at signing. No security deposit required. Tax, title, and license fees extra. Residency restrictions apply. Program subject to change. Must take new retail delivery from Anderson Auto Group by 4/30/26.
Greens Furnace and Plumbing has been servicing the southeast Nebraska area since 1921, specializing in HVAC systems, bathroom remodels, duct cleaning, backflow testing, and so much more. With a network of trained technicians ready to assist you, Greens Furnace and Plumbing is your source for dedicated commercial HVAC service for your business, building, or even your home, so it can run without all those unwanted interruptions. Learn more by visiting their website at callgreens.com or give them a call at 402-467-4444 today.
Now's the time to lock in the best deal of the year on a new John Deere sprayer during Landmark Implement's Sprayer Early Order Program. Leverage the industry's latest technology with See and Spray. Target weeds with precision and cut herbicide use. Utilize Exact Apply to save in chemical usage and prevent over-application. Don't forget, secure early order savings and get the sprayer that maximizes every pass. Visit your Landmark location for full details and experience the Landmark difference.
Hey Husker Nation, this is Todd Euler, two-time national champion, here to talk to you about Window World Lincoln. At Window World, we specialize in replacement windows, doors, siding, and roofing. Whether you're looking to enhance the beauty of your home or increase its energy efficiency, we've got you covered. And here's the best part. We offer the best for less. Our team is dedicated to providing top quality products and exceptional service at affordable prices. We want to earn your business and make your home improvement dreams a reality. So why wait? Contact Window World Lincoln today at 464-7313 or visit our website at windowworldlincoln.com. Window World Lincoln, where quality meets affordability.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old-fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with Taco Night on Mondays or Whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Hey USA, it's your 250th birthday, and Amigos brings the party. The Yankee Burrito is back. And what's more American than a hot dog? In a crispy tortilla. This summer, the All-American Twist is back too, for just $3.99. There's festive layers of red slushy, white soft serve, and blue slushy with whipped cream and a cherry on top. Celebrate freedom, flavor, and fun in every bite with a Yankee Burrito and All-American Twist. Only at Amigos. When tacos and quesadillas join forces at Amigos, something seriously delicious happens. Quesadilla tacos. Crispy on the outside, gooey on the inside, folded taco style, and stuffed with bold seasoned flavor. It's like your favorite quesadilla and taco teamed up for the ultimate spring fling. With Tex-Mex, chicken, supreme, or steak, Amigos has a quesadilla taco for everyone. So hurry in. This tasty collab is here for a limited time only. Get the ultimate flavor fusion with quesadilla tacos at Amigos.
Back to One-on-One with DP. Sponsored by the Downtown Lincoln Foundation on 93.7 The Ticket.
Bachman along with Austin Orman in studio as we talk about the news today. Anthony Calandra talking with Pete Nakos, saying that he wants to win a national championship. I want to go to the playoffs. I have high expectations. We have high expectations as a team. When I first got here, felt like the bar was 8 or 9 wins. I was like, no, we want to win 11, 12 games. We've got to go win. That's the biggest thing. Got plenty of response off the text line. I wanted to get to that. Thomas and Lincoln not buying it says still expecting 5 wins this season. So it didn't necessarily the hope of the jolt of confidence didn't fall all the way to Thomas and Lincoln. Haddo says it's kind of sad that a new kid comes in and has higher expectations than the head coach. This program has fallen so far and now believes it is a loser. Interesting way to kind of look at it. Again, I don't know if the head coach has stated any total win total or expectation lower than that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just the quarterback articulating it.
Yeah.
I think Matt Rule would tell you that's the goal or the standard, whichever way you want to view it. But I'm not going to hold that against Matt. Plenty of other things to hold against Matt Rule. That's not one that I'm gonna go for.
Yeah, Bill and Bennett says this is why Matt Rule shouldn't allow any of his players to talk to the media in the offseason. So again, he does not necessarily love the talk from Calandria there.
Well, if we don't hear from Calandria, we hear from Rule. Do you really want that? Because it was, that was the conversation before. Matt Rule, you're talking too much. Oh, what's up with the podcast? Why are we doing that? You're out on Front Street too much. I think it's good if we get a chance to hear from the players every so often. Would be nice if they were, more accessible to local media. But whatever, big national outlet can, pull some strings if they have the opportunity to.
Yeah. I've seen that thought out there as well. It does seem like the national media gets a little bit more access than maybe previous coaching tenures here at Nebraska. At least is where they like to get their news out. 5862 says just win enough games to go to a bowl game. Playoff is a far-fetched dream. Sad state of affairs for our football program when a bowl game is success. And I think that's where a lot of people are kind of stuck this offseason is realistic expectations is probably fighting for a bowl game. Beyond that, of course, you want to do more than that, but that's kind of why there has been a quiet offseason, if you will, to this point.
Let's play this out. Let's say that Nebraska is 8-2 going into the final 2 games of its schedule. 2 games that if Nebraska wins them, probably helps them vault into college football playoff serious conversation. Probably still on the road, but at least having the conversation. Nebraska finishes 8-4. They lose their 1 home game in November to Ohio State, and they get the gut punch from Iowa again. Would you rather Nebraska still go to a relatively quality bowl game or have the season be done? Because I think if we view it through the lens of playoff or bust, that's a problem. If the only goal is making a bowl game, that's also a problem. That's where I still think, bowl games as a measure of success and reward are a good thing, if not the ultimate measure of success.
Yeah. And again, we've seen it too. I don't know how long we've talked about it too. I mean, I don't know how long bowl games or what kind of space they have in this modern college football world. Certainly there's opportunities to get there, but we saw more than just Notre Dame decide not to go to bowl games last year. So kind of interesting in that case too. I still think Nebraska obviously kind of puttered into the bowl game last year. Still had a pretty good representation out there. Not as much as, as maybe we traditionally thought. I thought that especially about Yankee Stadium a couple years ago too. So I think to a degree, there's a level of football fans out there, Nebraska football fans. The bowl game's enough to get you on that trip. And then there's another group of football fans that say, I'm gonna hold off and wait till the prize is a little bit bigger. Mailman on the text line says it's to the point. Don't talk about it, be about it. And I think that's again what a lot of people would probably respond to this.
But he hasn't been talking about it all offseason. He's done one interview essentially. He brought it up. Probably felt like it was a thing he was supposed to say. It's not like he's been out front as, it's national championship or bust for us. He said the normal kind of throwaway line that you expect a quarterback to say. I don't think it's, talking about it versus being about it. I think it's just a little different.
Yeah. We'll see how often he talks about it might change. I mean, and he might get a chance at Big Ten Media Days. We'll see if he's brought in for that. And again, I think that wouldn't be too much of a surprise to bring a quarterback that's won Mountain West Offensive Player of the Year along with it. We'll have to wait and see if that is the case. But again, we're kind of going to change the conversation a bit as we talked about this for the first hour. The second hour, we can get maybe to a little bit more sports, but I do want to start with the football talk, because the other kind of thing around Nebraska football is, should they be aiming up at the top of the Big Ten or the middle of the Big Ten? And how do you go about doing either one of those things? And I've already heard different opinions from people that I respect in Nebraska football circles. We'll talk about that coming next year on 93.7 The Ticket.
If you or anyone you care about is facing a family legal matter, call Cordell and Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL or visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. Divorce touches all areas of your life: your home, savings, retirement, and of course, kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on. Visit CordellCordell.com to schedule your consultation.
If you or anyone you care about is facing divorce, contact Cordell and Cordell today. With over 100,000 clients served, we understand the challenges you're facing on a personal level. Call Cordell and Cordell today at 1-855-GET-LEGAL. That's 1-855-GET-LEGAL. 1221 N Street, Lincoln.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
When you or someone you know has been seriously injured and you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will fight for the justice you deserve in court to get the very best possible outcome. Trust the compassionate and hardworking attorneys at Liberty Law Group when you need an attorney in Nebraska or Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
Big value and big flavor meet at Wings and Rings, thanks to the all-new delicious Duo Combo. This is the one you've been waiting for. Get one half-sized appetizer and 2 entrees with a side for only $19.99. Bring a friend for the best deal in town on any day of the week, during game time, or whenever the heck you want. Their made-to-order wings and chicken sandwiches are waiting for you at their 68th and O and 40th and Old Cheney locations. Stop by Wings and Rings and celebrate every day with the best meal deal in town.
Shopping for new flooring is different today. Getting your questions answered, making the right selection, getting the best value, and installed quickly and professionally. Visit ostreetcarpet.com or shop our store. We'll answer all your questions and help you make the right choice. You'll be enjoying your new floor in just days for less than you'd pay elsewhere. Carpet, vinyl, wood, laminate, tile, and area rugs. We've got it all. O Street Carpet. 1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
Looking for something fun tonight? Axe throwing, local beer, and great vibes are waiting at Arbor Axe House. From casual nights out to celebrations and team events, it all starts here. Reserve a lane today at arbораxe.com. Arbor Axe House at the corner of N Street and Antelope Valley.
Green's Furnace and Plumbing has been servicing the southeast Nebraska area since 1921, specializing in HVAC systems, bathroom remodels, duct cleaning, backflow testing, and so much more. With a network of trained technicians ready to assist you, Green's Furnace and Plumbing is your source for dedicated commercial HVAC service for your business, building, or even your home, so it can run without all those unwanted interruptions. Learn more by visiting their website at callgreens.com or give them a call at 402-467-4444 today.
In communities like ours, local relationships still matter. At Insight Partners, we believe we are better together. That's why insurance agencies across the Midwest have joined Insight Partners to better serve local customers and communities with all their insurance needs. From personal to commercial or specialty insurance, your local Insight Partners team is here to help protect what matters most. Insight Partners, better together. Learn more at myInspartners.com.
Right now in Lincoln, neighbors are facing hunger and homelessness, and they need our help. Your donation to Matt Talbot Kitchen and Outreach for Give to Lincoln Day helps provide nutritious meals, safe shelter, and life-changing support. Your gift goes even further thanks to matching funds from the Lincoln Community Foundation. Working together, we can make our community stronger by ensuring that everyone has access to nutritious food and a safe place to sleep at night. Give to Matt Talbot today or anytime through May 28th at givetolincoln.com.
Hey Lincoln, this summer Bright Lights is hitting a big one, 40 seasons strong. For 40 summers, they've been helping kids learn, build, create, and explore through hands-on STEAM camps. And now you can step up to the plate. Give $40 to celebrate 40 summers during Give to Lincoln Day 2026. Your donation helps provide top-notch camps, amazing instructors, and scholarships so every kid gets a chance to play, to learn, and to grow. If Bright Lights has ever made an impact on your family, this is your moment. Donate today at brightlights.org. Bright Lights, 40 summers in and just getting warmed up.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
This is Jordy Ball for Anderson Ford. For years, Anderson has relied on an exceptional customer experience. But just this once, they're going to rely on a really great pitch.
Right now, lease a 2026 Ford F-150 for $197 per month for 36 months.
Experience better at Anderson Ford.
Stock number 1008753, $199 per month lease for 36 months with a group credit, 7,500 miles per year, 10,250 due at signing, no security deposit required, tax, title, and license fees extra, residency restrictions apply. Program subject to change. Must take new retail delivery from Anderson Auto Group by 4/30/26.
93.7 The Ticket is Lincoln's home for Kansas City Royals baseball in 2026. Catch all the action as Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, and a pitching rotation led by Cole Reagans try to lead the Royals back to the postseason. That's Kansas City Royals baseball all summer long. On the air in Lincoln at 93.7 The Ticket. It's time to go one-on-one with DP. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Downtown Lincoln Foundation. Here is your host, Derek Pearson.
We are back here on One-on-One on 93.7 The Ticket. Derek Pearson, DP, out today. Should be back in on Friday. We've got a fun couple days in front of us here at 93.7 The Ticket as well. So stay tuned for where we might be. Of course, when we might be is the same time. So you can tune into all the time here on The Ticket. But especially in the day, we're going to have some fun in the next couple of days with some guests and be out and about. So stay tuned to that here. But we've talked this first hour one-on-one all about Anthony Calandra in his talk with Pete Nakos. And I want to keep it on Husker football, but I want to turn the attention a little bit toward a topic that's kind of been going around the last couple of days after Steve Sipple's article guesstimated Nebraska's roster near around 29 million, an educated guesstimate, by the way. Don't want to just make it sound like he's throwing that out there. But also noting that some of the competition in the Big Ten, Ohio State, Oregon, might be closer to a $15 billion rosters. So the question kind of becomes, how do you compete? Should the expectation be the same when you go out there against those, the Ohio States, Oregons of the world, as it is against, the Iowa and the Minnesotas of the world, who probably have less of the roster, just the roster payment that they will have for their players. And then, of course, from there, the conversation has kind of turned into, well, you're not beating Ohio State, Oregon, Iowa, or Minnesota. So what should Nebraska aim for, especially considering the resources? Should they be aiming for the middle of the Big Ten? Do you have to take these kind of steps at a time? Or should you aim toward the top? And again, very well-respected people within Nebraska football have kind of voiced their opinion on both sides. I know with Kenny Wilhite in here the other day, he was very much on, hey, you're looking at the wrong thing. If you're trying to beat the tops of the Big Ten, you can maybe adjust to that once you get into that conversation. But at first, you got to take these steps to beat the middle of the Big Ten. Whereas, Steve Sipple, I know we're talking about it on early break, was always keep your eye at the top, right? You're going to have to, that should be the goal for Nebraska football. What are your thoughts, Austin, kind of on this? Again, it's an interesting conversation considering the resource difference and just where Nebraska's been in the Big Ten, which is fighting to kind of get out of that lower third.
My thoughts on this are multiple and varied because I don't think Nebraska's standard can be the middle of the Big Ten. I don't think anyone wants to settle for being in the middle of the Big Ten. Like we talked about a lot, really in the first segment, maybe throughout the course of the full first hour, is it seems like Nebraska will need to reach the middle of the Big Ten to then reach the top of the Big Ten. And we don't need to relitigate all of that. I don't spend more time on that if we don't have to. It's clear that the ultimate standard is national championships, or college football playoff appearances at the very least. To me, the more interesting question is, how does Nebraska get there? By building itself in the image of, a middle of the pack Big Ten team? Is that the vision for how Nebraska improves, gets more consistent, whatever you want to call it? Or does Nebraska need to fashion itself in the image of Ohio State and Oregon and Michigan and whoever else at the top of college football? And that's where I think there's legitimate room for wiggle room and debate, because you know what Ohio State wants to do. You know what Oregon wants to do. Do you try to copy them in their template? Hey, this is what's working in college football. Their scheme is this. It is successful for them. We coach it right. We coach it well enough. We too will be successful because of the scheme. Or is Nebraska a place that says, hey, more of their success is due to the athletes, the caliber of talent that they get in? We have taken our swings at that caliber of talent, swung and missed more often than we've even hit a single, let alone a home run with it. We don't know if we can make that model sustainable for us. So what do we do to counter them? Every team, every scheme has a weakness all the time at every point. Yes, even the Oklahoma City Thunder defense has a weak point. When someone solves it, we'll know, even if we're still searching for it across the NBA. Even Aaron Judge has holes in his swing, stuff like that. Every player, every team, every coach has a blind spot and a weak spot. Whoever in college football it is can find that blind spot, that weak spot that's probably well guarded right now. That's probably not obvious, but can just pick and poke and prod around enough to find the vulnerability and then take advantage of it and keep hammering it until you slay the dragon. That's what it's going to take. And so, no, Nebraska's standard isn't Iowa, Minnesota, old Wisconsin, current Illinois, whatever. Yeah, Nebraska's standard, what fans wish and hope, is the top of the Big Ten. Will Nebraska ever get to the point where it looks like that in terms of the scheme or in terms of the talent level? Doesn't seem like it right now. So to me, the challenge for Nebraska is, how do you mold yourself into a program that knows how to pick at these other top programs' weaknesses? What is your definable strength in any matchup that you can lean on? Because every program has something they do well or needs to, and every program will then, like I said, have that blind spot or that chink in the armor. For Nebraska, I don't think it's about copying the Iowa model or the Minnesota model or copying the Oregon or Ohio State model. It's about finding, the blueprint that works at Nebraska and figuring out how that plays against what those other teams want to do. Find a style that gives you the best chance, as much coverage against as many teams as possible, and then try to, win battles of attrition when you do face a bad matchup in terms of philosophy or style.
Yeah, but again, I think that goes to, especially when we have these conversations too, is like, what is Nebraska's strength? What is the identity, right? And that's where it's hard to kind of nail it down. And when I look at this and I look at the top of the Big Ten, and it's not so simple as this, as any of these conversations are. Like, there's a lot more work and different detail that needs to go into it. But when you look at the difference in the roster of Nebraska or Ohio State and Oregon, you can say, well, Nebraska doesn't have the speed, right, to kind of keep up with those type of teams, the athletes to keep up with those type of teams.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at more the middle, that's been hurting Nebraska.
Okay, let's take that example then.
Yeah.
Nebraska doesn't have the speed. Okay, what does that tell you in football sense might need to be done? Nebraska might just need to play 2 high safeties. Nebraska might need to play some off coverage, with its cornerbacks as well. Nebraska might have to give some cushion to running routes with the linebackers as well. that doesn't mean that Nebraska's screwed if they don't have speed. What that means is Nebraska needs to focus on keeping plays in front of it. The key teaching point all offseason is don't get beat deep. And then you need sure tacklers, right? If you're going to keep everything in front of you, you can't let guys break the tackle then when they're in front of you. And then you got to probably bow up in the red zone. If you're not going to rush the passer and teams are just going to matriculate the ball down the field on you, you can't let them hit the explosives over the top consistently. And then you also, if you're going to be that quote unquote bend but don't break, don't get beat by speed because we're in an athletic disadvantage or a speed disadvantage, then you got to make sure that you're powerful enough to stand up in the red zone. And when speed gets mitigated, you have to have at least an even playing field, if not it being slightly tipped in your direction, inside the 20s. So even that isn't necessarily disqualifying. There's a way for Nebraska to counteract, not having speed in this example.
Well, I think certainly in a game scenario, there is it tough to do that consistently game after game? Unless you're a good team, right? When we're talking about building, right? And that's part of it. Either way, whatever your philosophy is, if you've got, I think Nebraska's needed most is tacticians, somebody that's going to technically develop these kids and not miss or lose by any like you're kind of saying problems in philosophy on the coaching staff, on behalf, I should say. But I think in general, the way that I see it is that if Nebraska doesn't have the speed or possibilities as far as $50 million rosters, the athleticism at the top, and they're aiming toward the top, still trying to replicate those teams. Meanwhile, the Iowas and the Minnesotas of the world have kind of, Illinois, have kind of tabled that. So, okay, well, we're not going to do that. We're going to embrace Midwest football, physicality. We're going to be the most physical team. And Nebraska has, for decades, kind of gone away from that, right? And it's at times, you still aim toward, I'm not saying they're not putting work in the weight room, but they're no longer anywhere close to the example of the most physical team in the Big Ten or in the Midwest.
Well, no, but we can go back through Nebraska history and prove that Nebraska did that, right? You think about the defensive changes they made in the 90s. Nebraska had a sustained run of success playing its way. A mixed bag at the top in terms of national championship appearances, are falling just short of that, but still playing in some pretty major bowl games. But then what did Nebraska bump into? They're getting run around. The Florida States and the Miamis of the world kept running circles around them, which is when Nebraska changed a little bit, right? Kept the principles in place, looked a little different athletically. But Nebraska had to get to the point where it knew what it had to change. Nebraska right now, if you want to get back to that Illinois baseline, let's say, right? Embrace Midwest football, be physical, have an identity. Yeah, I'm on board with all that. But then the question becomes, or maybe not even the question, but then you have to give a heck of a lot of credit to, a top 5 coach in college football history, and Tom Osborne, for not just being willing to make the changes, but able to make the changes that he did with his staff to take that next step. Are there any signs right now that Iowa has any inclination of what it takes to reach the next level? Or that Illinois is, finding out what its own weaknesses are and finding ways to get different talent in the door, or reshuffle the talent in the room already to take the next step? Same thing with Minnesota. Not necessarily. So then are they okay with where they're at? Are they settling for it? Are they happy with, fringy college football playoff year after year and solid bowl games? Or are they biding their time? It's going to change. Let's wait it out, be as successful as we think we can, as consistently as we can. And then when something changes in the economic model of college sports, in the division conference model of college sports, when the playoff expands, we'll be in position there. I give Nebraska a ton of credit for making the changes that it did to ultimately win those 3 national championships in the 90s. But Nebraska didn't go from getting completely run over to winning national championships, right? Nebraska built that baseline level of respectability with some of the keeping it in front of them mindset, right? The power on offense and defense. And then they saw, hey, this gets us to this point. What takes us past this point? They didn't change everything. They made the tweaks that they were willing and able to make.
Well, and they were able to get those few different athletes. Of course, Terrell Farley going to be one of them that will be coming on with Bach of the Black shirt here.
Kidding.
But in general, I mean that's going to be hard for like Minnesota or Iowa to take that next step to get those athletes, right? But I think when we think about that, and we've seen Wisconsin over the years struggle with the ceiling, and we kind of broke into that a little bit earlier. Is there a ceiling on that model? At some point, are you going to struggle against, the Ohio States and Oregons once you get there? We saw the Big Ten West struggles against the Big Ten East, all that sort of stuff. But I don't think it's fair to just look at a physical brand of football and just put that on the Midwest teams that are doing the best they can with that, without also noting that for years and years, I mean, it was kind of seen as, especially when Nick Saban switched his offensive coordinator to Lane Kiffin from that power running game to kind of an open it up and use the athletes, spread type of passing attack, that a lot of people kind of at that time kind of signed off on. Okay, are the more kind of physical is that outdated? The kind of the old those old offenses. Well, there's been a change in recent years too. So instead of thinking the Iowa Minnesota model, think of it as the Notre Dame model. Think of it as the Georgia model. Think of it as the Michigan model, who all have had success and played in championship games or won championship games based on a power running game and behind a physical brand of football.
Well, Oregon hits you. Ohio State hits you.
Right, they will too, yeah. So, I mean, it is, but, and then that's where I think where you have the argument is Nebraska, as far as that ceiling, could they be what Michigan did and be able to bring in a few more different recruits like we're talking about from the 90s, get to that baseline level of expectation, and then bring in the extra athletes like they were able to do, like a Notre Dame can do, like a Georgia certainly can do? Or are you going to kind of be stuck in there in that Iowa Minnesota conversation where it's just tough to kind of, Coy Parrish, a pretty good example of Minnesota. When you get one, especially in modern day age, that's an All-American type. You might go and run for greener pastures. And Nebraska would have to do that. But again, then the other thing is too, and maybe they're transitioning this. I'm not sure. I hope that is because I think that's the blueprint. I think that's been the blueprint all along. We've seen, and it's not a guess. It's what Nebraska has won here doing. And once they went away from that, all this idea of modernizing what they can do with their offense, and I'm not saying they have to go back to option or anything, but since they've made that switch, things have not been the same. I mean, it's not a small sample size. It's been 2 decades, and not saying that they couldn't have done better at times, but you've had one NFL draft pick at quarterback, which was your big concern for running the option offense, was you weren't going to bring in NFL talent at that type of position. So, I think that's the blueprint is there, but the problem is now from that is you can't just, snap the fingers, let's bring back the physical model, and now we can compete with Iowa and Minnesota. They've been doing that for years. Illinois, the Brett Bielema's, they've been doing that for years. That's set in. So 1, you need to have a coaching staff that can do it better than they can. 2, you're behind the 8 ball. You need to catch up to what they, that type of emphasis in the program. I hope that, and that would take a little bit of patience on Husker fans' behalf as well. And my goodness, how much are we looking for a little bit of patience? That's where, or how hard it is to look for more patience. But I think that is the tried and true way to get back to the top, or toward the tops of college football. But again, with that patience problem, it is not the quickest way. And so I think Nebraska for a lot of years, and some of these hires have looked for a quicker way to the top, not exactly the approach that has worked at Nebraska before.
I've been on record on this very station of saying that Michigan makes a lot of sense as a model for Nebraska.
Yeah.
Connor Stallions aside.
Right.
We can use even just the Jim Harbaugh example, right? Whether it's Michigan or with the Chargers, right? Where Jim Harbaugh had a successful team, with Los Angeles, a good roster, beset a little bit by injuries. Maybe toned down the quarterback a little bit. I mean, Herbert was throwing for 4,000 yards. Didn't necessarily happen, but the rest of the roster improved. Chargers were a pain in the butt. Well, then what did he try to do? We went and got Mike McDaniel to mesh what, he wanted to do what he's always done with some new ideas for how to get the most out of everyone on the roster. But we saw it at Michigan. When did that really take off again under Harbaugh? Again, cheating. I know, maybe not the perfect example, but when they had a more dynamic quarterback, Gabe McNamara was good. He was a good quarterback at Michigan. They thought they could upgrade in J.J. McCarthy, and you saw some of those upgrades at times for the Wolverines, even though he wasn't necessarily the focal point. That USA Today article that came out a couple weeks ago, Nebraska's never going to get it right till they get the quarterback position right. Was Cade McNamara an All-American? No. Was J.J. McCarthy an All-American? That's my recollection. They were good enough. Not that Nebraska needs a game manager, but you're telling me Nebraska can't find its version of Stetson Bennett?
Yeah.
You're telling me Anthony Calandria can't be Nebraska's version of Stetson Bennett? Now, a little more turnover prone than Stetson Bennett ended up being in his college career. Nebraska doesn't need the Heisman guy at quarterback if this model is up and rolling consistently. The types of talent that you think Nebraska would have access to and the more consistent path to developing is, Michigan type talent, if not Michigan level talent, because they were still pulling in blue chips left and right under Harbaugh. And let's not kid ourselves about that either. Michigan was plenty talented, And so is Nebraska going to get all the fast receivers? Is Nebraska going to own the coasts? No, but Nebraska needs to be able to lock down what it wants. Go find it, I hate the 500-mile radius idea, but maybe there's something to it. And then pick and choose, other states, other positions when they're able to show that baseline level of success. Michigan is a fantastic comp. Who's Nebraska's, Jim Harbaugh in instilling that? Hasn't been Matt Rule yet. We'll see if it's on the table.
Yeah, again, I think that's one of the more fascinating things just in general. And it wouldn't be your first idea if you were going to run with the kind of a power option model to get the offensive coordinator that Nebraska has necessarily in place. But that could change too as he's evolving. So we'll see. Again, there's all sorts of different ideas. I'm very intrigued to see, outside of this talk about total wins, all that sort of stuff, is what does this offense look like? Because it is a little bit of a chance to kind of reset that, and we'll see where Nebraska looks like and how they look philosophically on the field coming up here in the fall. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be back with more on 1-on-1 on 93.7 The Ticket.
This is Jordy Ball for Anderson Ford. For years, Anderson has relied on an exceptional customer experience. But just this once, they're going to rely on a really great pitch.
Right now, lease a 2026 Ford F-150 for $197 per month for 36 months.
Experience better at Anderson Ford.
Stock number 1008753 at $99 per month, lease for 36 months with a group credit, 7,500 miles per year, $10,250 due at signing, no security deposit required, tax, title, and license fees extra, residency restrictions apply. Program subject to change. Must take new retail delivery from Anderson Auto Group by 4/30/26.
Right now in Lincoln, neighbors are facing hunger and homelessness, and they need our help. Your donation to Matt Talbot Kitchen and Outreach for Give to Lincoln Day helps provide nutritious meals, safe shelter, and life-changing support. Your gift goes even further thanks to matching funds from the Lincoln Community Foundation. Working together, we can make our community stronger by ensuring that everyone has access to nutritious food and a safe place to sleep at night. Give to Matt Talbot today or anytime through May 28th at givetolincoln.com.
Tomorrow is about the lessons we learn today. A farmer's market teaches us that community is grown together. Kids laughing shows us how joy is easy. And coffee on the porch reminds us to savor every moment. These are the lessons that shape a tomorrow we all share. One filled with trust, good company, and wide open dreams. That's the way banking should be. And that's Pinnacle Bank. Member FDIC.
Life happens. Unexpected bills, tough choices. Your car needs repairs, but your child needs new shoes. What do you decide? At Nebraska Children and Families Foundation, they help families before small problems become breaking points. They connect parents to support so they can keep working, so kids stay secure, and so families stay together. Help Lincoln families thrive. Donate to Nebraska Children and Families Foundation through Give to Lincoln.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today. We'll see lots of sunshine with light winds and an afternoon high near 83. Tonight, mainly clear skies with a light breeze, low around 56. And tomorrow, a slight chance of showers and storms. Otherwise, partly sunny and breezy with a high near 87. I'm meteorologist Kyle Klecker from 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Hey Husker Nation, this is Todd Euler, two-time national champion, here to talk to you about Window World Lincoln. At Window World, we specialize in replacement windows, doors, siding, and roofing. Whether you're looking to enhance the beauty of your home or increase its energy efficiency, we've got you covered. And here's the best part. We offer the best for less. Our team is dedicated to providing top quality products and exceptional service at affordable prices. We want to earn your business and make your home improvement dreams a reality. So why wait? Contact Window World Lincoln today at 464-7313 or visit our website at windowworldlincoln.com. Window World Lincoln, where quality meets affordability.
Big value and big flavor meet at Wings and Rings thanks to the all-new delicious Duo Combo. This is the one you've been waiting for. Get one half-sized appetizer and 2 entrees with a side for only $19.99. Bring a friend for the best deal in town on any day of the week, during game time, or whenever the heck you want. Their made-to-order wings and chicken sandwiches are waiting for you at their 68th and O and 40th and Old Cheney locations. Stop by Wings and Rings and celebrate every day with the best meal deal in town.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Play ball!
Some places just feel like home. In Lincoln, that place is Haymarket Park. For 25 seasons, it's where we gather with friends, with family, and our out-of-towners who want that same warm welcome. It's where kids catch their first foul ball, where we're all neighbors for at least 9 innings. Because when Salt Dogs fans root for our home team, there isn't a single stranger in the stands. So come one, come all, and let your local tradition play on. Get your tickets at saltdogs.com.
In every office, there's 2 types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Hey Lincoln, this summer Bright Lights is hitting a big one, 40 seasons strong. For 40 summers, they've been helping kids learn, build, create, and explore through hands-on STEAM camps. And now you can step up to the plate. Give $40 to celebrate 40 summers during Give to Lincoln Day 2026. Your donation helps provide top-notch camps, amazing instructors, and scholarships so every kid gets a chance to play, to learn, and to grow. If Bright Lights has ever made an impact on your family, this is your moment. Donate today at brightlights.org. Bright Lights, 40 summers in and just getting warmed up.
Bauer Underground has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know that the best workers in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and a pedigree of success. They're offering top-notch benefits, a matching 401k, and a $600 per year clothing allowance. Bauer Underground, a family-friendly company with plenty of room for advancement.
Back to One-on-One with DP. Sponsored by the Downtown Lincoln Foundation on 93.7 The Ticket.
We are back here on One-on-One on 93.7 The Ticket. I'm Jake Bachman. He is Austin Orman. We're talking a lot of football, Nebraska football expectations, how to get the program back. Can't wait. There's, of course, plenty of time to talk about that, and I'm sure we'll jump into it on Bach and the Black Shirt as well. But we do also want to pay some attention to Nebraska baseball, especially after sweeping Iowa and then coming back and getting the final game to sweep Creighton of the season series, now 3-0. How incredible is that? You sweep Iowa and Creighton and all in just a couple of days. You get to finish it off. Very cool stuff. Nebraska won 8-4 yesterday in Omaha. They were up, got up to an 8-0 lead there through 5 innings. So felt pretty comfortable there. Of course, we've seen those leads dissipate and have to fight back for them as recently as the Iowa series. But that did not happen here. Creighton was able to get 4 runs plated there in the 6th inning, but the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning went by without any too much of a scare there from Creighton. Nebraska was able to hold on to that 4-run lead and now improved to 38-14. Number 24 Huskers for you. Drew Grigo, probably the player of the game or close to it. 3 of 5 from the field. At the plate. 3 RBIs and a run for him in this game. But Nebraska feeling pretty good. Don't get a rest too long. Get to get back out there, hit the Twin Cities for a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series with Minnesota. But things are looking pretty good for Nebraska baseball, especially now that you kind of start to look at maybe the potentially of hosting a regional. Looks like more of a possibility too. Of course, got to take care of the business in Minnesota. But Nebraska's bats doing their job once again last night.
Absolutely. And putting the finishing touches, most likely, on the 25-26 athletic year against Creighton, where Nebraska didn't lose.
How about that?
Women's soccer, women's tennis, both won. Volleyball took 5 sets, but ended up winning. Women's basketball won. Baseball obviously swept. Softball won the one game, and basketball won by 21. Those of you keeping track at home, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, 9-0. Nebraska against Creighton this academic year.
That is how it should be. Big brother and little brother restored. Nebraska back to being big brother. The state is painted red once again. Love to see it.
And to your point on Drew Grigo, tied a school record, 3 doubles in one game. What a revelation he's been for Nebraska. Didn't start the year in the lineup and has been absolutely impossible to take out of it. Hitting for more slug than I think you would have expected. Number one for a freshman. He's also not the biggest guy, which goes to show, it's not just about being, big in baseball. It's about bat speed. It's about pitch recognition and finding the pitches you can do damage on. It's been pretty incredible to watch the season that the Drew Grigo has had. Of course, an Omaha kid going back up to the home city and finding a way to help propel the Huskers in that big win.
That is good for the Huskers on the baseball side of things. Again, they will get back to it against Minnesota here on Thursday. I also wanted to mention something that is unique, at least a different way to get out of a hitting slump. We saw from Cal Raleigh here at the Major League Baseball level. Cal, of course, coming off a career year where he was absolutely incredible, right up there for MVP, has really struggled. Now, you have to keep in mind, he's not necessarily a high percentage on base type of guy. His career average as of right now is 222, which is, would you say well above the Mendoza line, or at least hips, a little bit above the Mendoza line?
Well, it's certainly not well above it, but it is indeed above it. We would take a little bit of work to drop down below it, but you're closer to it than I think you are further from it.
Yeah. You don't want to be too close to that. And of course, this year he is well short of that, because he's hitting 166 after that streak that he was that was just tough for him to get out of. What he ultimately did, and maybe this helped, maybe this is, of course, it was baseball, leans heavy as far as any sport, probably into superstitions, is that he took the advice of a teammate and just went ahead and took a shower fully clothed. And he thinks that is maybe what has helped him.
Dude's rock.
I'm not sure if that accomplishes what you were looking for to get out of a shower, though. Right? I mean, that's maybe
wash the
get
stink
some
off.
Laundry. Yeah, I don't know.
So I don't know. I mean, he's major leaguer. He's got clubbies and whatnot. I don't know if he did. Is it known if he took the shower fully clothed at home or in the clubhouse?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know if that makes a difference or not. But baseball is just so funny about stuff like that. There are all sorts of stories that's not the first time that would have happened.
Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily shocked that would happen. I'm a little surprised by Cal Raleigh going 0 for 38. He'd been good before his MVP run last year. Felt ultimately just a little bit short, of course, to Aaron Judge. But Cal Raleigh, is certainly better than 0 for 38. He's probably not quite as good long-term as he was last year in his incredible year. That is an all-time year for any player, let alone a switch hitter playing catcher pretty much every day. And so I give Cal Raleigh a lot of credit. Relatively well-regarded prospect coming out of Florida State back in the day, really made something of himself there at the major league level as well. Does Cal Raleigh end up with Buster Posey's career? Probably not in terms of Florida State catchers, but Cal Raleigh's still good. Really bad funk, but he snapped it with a nice measly single. The Mariners themselves are just kind of in a bad way right now as well, coming off of the ALCS loss in Game 7, I believe it was, there to the Toronto Blue Jays. Just hasn't been quite the same. Pitching's been fine, maybe not as elite as normal. offense has been kind of boom or bust at points as well. And, when your MVP candidate is going 0 for 38, that's not going to help anything.
Well, it's one of those deals, and it's interesting. Just kind of depending on what division you're in, right? The Seattle Mariners off to a 500 start, basically 21-22. Of course, again, not living up to what they did last year, but just a game back at first in the West, so not so bad. Kind of similar conversation we've had with the Royals to this point, who are now at the bottom of the Central, but only 3 games back. 19-23, only 3 games back. So a lot of work to be done over time, but still very much an opportunity to win that division and make some noise in the postseason, as opposed to some other places where it might be a little bit. My Red Sox particularly are a little bit in trouble. 17-24, not good on its own, but 11 games back because Tampa Bay and New York are doing really well. Kind of a similar thing. The Reds, my goodness, they're over 500 at 22-20 and 5 game backs in the Central.
Yeah, baseball's just funky at this point right now. I think it's still the case that there are more teams above 500 in the NL Central than in the entire American League, which is absolutely bizarre. The Reds, I'm less surprised by. I know we have, I don't know if he's a listener necessarily, but someone that comes in and is from Ohio's big Reds fan and tells us all about them. And so, for his sake, I'm happy for it. But yeah, I guess you have the Cleveland Guardians back above 500 right now at 23 and 21. It's them, the A's, the Rays, and the Yankees above 500. And yes, officially all 5 NL Central teams are still above 500. But you look at the Padres leading the Dodgers right now through about the quarter pole of the season there in the West. That's kind of a 2-team division right now. You look at the East, where the Braves are really running away with things. The Phillies have underachieved but bounced back a little bit, unlike the Mets. You look at maybe the end of things for Houston. Things are not going very well down in Houston at all. The Central's going to Central. I'm a little surprised Baltimore hasn't been better off their year last year. Toronto, I'm a little confused by. Pitching hasn't been elite by any means for the Blue Jays. That's probably part of it. And the Red Sox, I really like their roster coming in, but a lot of injuries to the pitching staff. Jarren Duran is a guy that the Royals talked a lot about in a trade, has really underperformed, but they also have an outfield logjam out there in Boston. There's a bunch of teams that I think have the potential in them to make a run and to get back into things, especially in the American League, where a lot's down in those final couple wild card spots look like they're going to be pretty up for grabs. Maybe this is just the way of the world. Maybe we do just have a pretty clear separation of powers in the American League, and all these other teams are going to fight to see who can get to 83 wins.
Yeah, should be a fun run. Of course, we got a long time still to go there, but it will be fun to kind of follow this along. Like you said, it's just so interesting. We do this a lot in obviously in college sports, where you look at the different conferences, and maybe less so in the NBA when you go to division, but baseball, it's still a big, because there is that opportunity to win the division, go to the playoffs, that sort of stuff. So it will be fun to follow. And again, sometimes you don't have to be great. You could just be better than 4 or 5 other teams, and
right.
You'll get an opportunity. Let's go ahead and take a break. We'll be back with more to close out one-on-one coming next year on 93.7 The Ticket.
At Cedars, we're here to make sure that kids have the safety and stability that every child deserves, where they're protected and where they feel safe. You make this possible. Today, more than ever, we need your support to be here for kids who have nowhere else to call home. Now through May 28th, make a big impact through Give to Lincoln. Give to Cedars now at givetolincoln.com.
Hey Husker Nation, this is Todd Euler, 2-time national champion, here to talk to you about Window World Lincoln. At Window World, we specialize in replacement windows, doors, siding, and roofing. Whether you're looking to enhance the beauty of your home or increase its energy efficiency, we've got you covered. And here's the best part. We offer the best for less. Our team is dedicated to providing top quality products and exceptional service at affordable prices. We want to earn your business and make your home improvement dreams a reality. So why wait? Contact Window World Lincoln today at 464-7313 or visit our website at WindowWorldLincoln.com. Window World Lincoln, where quality meets affordability.
Imagine if the people who work at your bank were neighbors who could help with a home loan.
Congratulations, you're approved.
Or friends who love to shop local.
Have a good one.
At UBT, who you work with matters just as much as what you're working toward. Hey, thanks for helping. That's why your money has more than a banker. It has people. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Are you craving the ultimate game day experience? Red Zone Sports Bar and Grill has your front row seat. Dive into delicious wings, juicy burgers, and frosty drinks, all served up with TVs covering every inch of the walls so you'll never miss a play. Stop in for their incredible daily specials like $3 tall boys on Mondays, 5 wings for less than $6 on Wednesdays, and $20 beer buckets on Fridays. Red Zone Sports Bar and Grill, right by the Lincoln Airport at 3111 Northwest 12th Street.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe. Play ball!
Some places just feel like home. In Lincoln, that place is Haymarket Park. For 25 seasons, it's where we gather with friends, with family, and our out-of-towners who want that same warm welcome. It's where kids catch their first foul ball, where we're all neighbors for at least 9 innings. Because when Salt Dogs fans root for our home team, there isn't a single stranger in the stands. So come one, come all, and let your local tradition play on. Get your tickets at saltdogs.com.
Don't ignore changes in your skin. Get them checked. May is Skin Cancer Awareness Month, and early detection could save your life. If you've noticed a new spot, a changing mole, or anything that doesn't look quite right, now is the time to act, not later. As you head into summer, protect your skin and stay proactive about your health. At Advanced Medical Imaging, they're here to support your care with advanced technology and a team you can trust, because catching something early can make all the difference. Advanced Medical Imaging, your partner in proactive health.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today. We'll see lots of sunshine with light winds. An afternoon high near 83. Tonight, mainly clear skies with a light breeze, low around 56. And tomorrow, a slight chance of showers and storms. Otherwise, partly sunny and breezy with a high near 87. I'm meteorologist Kyle Klecker from 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
93.7 The Ticket is Lincoln's home for Kansas City Royals baseball in 2026. Catch all the action as Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, and a pitching rotation led by Cole Reagans try to lead the Royals back to the postseason. That's Kansas City Royals baseball all summer long. On the air in Lincoln at 93.7 The Ticket.
Is it time to replace your home comfort system? Call Bryant and save money in every way. Bryant provides you with solutions that save. Save big immediately with attractive rebates, and save every day with lower operating costs. Most important though, the systems are selected to fit you. The right system, priced right, properly installed. That's the way Bryant works for you. How much can you save? Call Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing for a free estimate. 467-1111. Bryant, whatever it takes.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contests, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Back to One-on-One with DP. Sponsored by the Downtown Lincoln Foundation on 93.7 The Ticket.
Yes, we are back here on One-on-One on 93.7 The Ticket, 2-hour edition today. Thanks again to Austin Orman for jumping in the studio with myself. I'm Jake Bachman. Bach the Black Shirt coming up next, so I can't wait to talk with Terrell Farley about the goings on today. Austin, what do we got planned for Old School coming up at 3?
Old School is going to be fun. So we will probably broach the Anthony Calandria article with Jay, get his thoughts on all of that. We will hear from Nebraska's very own in the UFC ranks, Derek Minner. He'll be calling into the show at 3:30. And it is officially time for the LeBron James Summer of Rumors. I know the NBA playoffs are going on, but there's a real potential that we've seen LeBron James play his final game in the NBA. We'll talk about that before we chat with Evan Bland about Husker baseball coming up at 4:30, like always. And we'll probably have to end up tabling this for tomorrow. But I do want to get to ESPN saying it wants the college football playoff to stay at either 12 teams or go to the 14 or 16 team model. ESPN does not want the 24 game model that the SEC seems to be getting behind, but the ACC says they also want that as well. So let's see who wins out. Is it these conferences that have the inventory, or the TV networks that feel like they have control of the inventory when and where it goes? I think that's probably something we'll need to flesh out at some point.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. TV networks have definitely changed college football and the landscape of it. So we'll see if they can get their way, or ESPN can get their way, because of course, on the opposite side of that, Fox would be very interested in expanding the playoffs. The Big Ten has been behind that for quite some time, because maybe they could get their name in their network in there on some playoffs, which is currently all ESPN. So yeah, very interesting stuff. Another interesting thing that's been going on is the success of Tristan Williams on Jeopardy, the Lincoln native. Have you been watching? Are you a big Jeopardy guy, Austin?
I love the concept of Jeopardy, but it airs at the wrong time for me to be able to be home and watch it. So I'm sure someday when I'm retired, my 80th birthday rolls around at this rate, but I'm sure I love it. I love the concept of Jeopardy. I love the trivia. I pretend to know a lot of things, but no, I have not been following it that closely.
I mean, I haven't watched the episodes, but I have been paying a little bit of attention, because he is from Lincoln. In fact, Lincoln Southeast, 2009. I'm an 08 guy from the Knights, but I don't necessarily remember him. It's big enough school. We didn't know everybody, but in any case, very cool to see a Lincoln native go out there and get that done. He's won 5 straight games on Jeopardy now, and in fact secured a spot in the season-ending Tournament of Champions. He's considered a champion at this point.
So is he an athlete? Is he a pro athlete? Does Nebraska claim him in the pro athlete register?
I don't think that of yet, but I mean, it sounds like it for a Tournament of Champions, right? But we'll see. Apparently, Williams joins Jamie Ding of New Jersey, who won 31 games earlier this year. So Williams has a little bit to go to catch up to that. But they also have Harrison Whitaker, a 14-game winner from Indiana. These are the guys that have guaranteed spots on the Tournament of Champions. 5-game winners automatically earn that spot, so they can't take it back now. Also, 4-game winners have a chance at qualifying. Williams finished with $27,300 in his latest game, bringing his total to over $100,499. So it's been a good little style. Yeah, nice. good stay there. Again, had a long way to go to catch the longest running games all-time champ, which was $882,605 as far as purse money in a 31-game winning streak. That was Jamie Ding, who I was talking about a little bit earlier. That is as for recently, but the winnings, the all-time record is actually held by Ken Jennings, who is now the host.
The host.
He had
indeed.
so much success as a Jeopardy contestant. He has now become the host, but he won 74 straight and $2.5 million as being part of the contestant back in 2004. Now then you can get into arguments about how much he had to pay for taxes and all that, so keep that in mind. But still, that is incredible. Including the tournament. So the Tournament of Champions, there is a regular season of Jeopardy, and then the Tournament of
there's
Champions.
A playoff.
There's a different realm or a different measurement they have. So if you include the tournaments, Jennings has won $4.37 million, which is only outdone by Brad Rutter, who's won $4.93 million. But yeah, that's a heck of a run there on Jeopardy. If you could be a part of any game show, which one would it be?
I don't remember the exact name, but I think it would have to be whichever one my dad was on. He was on an ESPN game show with Chris Berman back when he was in college. So that does run in the Orman family tradition. And I come from a family of rather erudite scholars and, trivia ball knowers across different different realms. And so I think it would probably have to be Jeopardy. I don't know if I could pick another. I Wheel of Fortune. Maybe my grandparents had a little like handheld Wheel of Fortune game back there. I don't love the idea of leaving it up to chance necessarily like that, but I would be afraid if I got on Jeopardy, I'd be going against a bunch of tryhards who like have the buzzer timing down and whatnot. Like, I'm not sure I would practice with like one of those pens that gets all taped up, working on my reaction time like these people. So I would hope that if I was smart enough and knew enough ball to be on Jeopardy, I would know enough of the answers not to embarrass myself. But I can about imagine my reaction time being too slow, or I'd doubt myself for just a second. I didn't want to, chime in, and I'm not practicing the exact timing of the buzzer, getting, a dead press or whatever at some point. So Jeopardy would be a whole lot of fun. Wheel of Fortune would be a lot of fun. Price is Right.
Price is Right's a good one.
I don't know. I could see it, but the one I would not do is Deal or No Deal.
Why is that?
I have such terrible luck at guessing these random numbers and figuring it out. I would be probably so confident going in. Oh yeah, it's just a crapshoot, and I'll make my way. I guarantee the mill's off the table in the first 3 guesses.
That's hilarious because that is the one game that I came up with where I was going, well, I don't need a whole lot of like knowledge. I could just leverage whatever I have in that briefcase with the banker, and at one point, at least I'm going to come away with something, right?
But,
and there's all these other ones. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, of course, was popular back in the day. It's at least multiple choice. You got some, I don't forget what they call it, but you've got, things you can do to get some help.
The other one that I will throw out there, we don't anymore, but wife and I went through a Family Feud watching stage.
Oh, yeah.
And not that I am like most proud of this in my life. There are many other things that take the cake. I do still own the trophy that we had back from the Husker Sports Network back in the day. We essentially did a King of the Hill round robin. And so we had, it'd be between a producer and a host every week, or two producers, whatever. Just play Family Feud. Best, I think it was best 4 out of 7 Family Feud style questions. And I think I went on a winning streak of I beat everyone in the office. It was like 7 different people, I think, that participated, and I won the final episode before it went off air. So I still have the Family Feud style face-off trophy from when we used to play that every Thursday back there.
That's awesome. We might want to get you into some sort of trivia
I'm
trivia
here for
game.
it. I am game.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I'm terrified of that. I forget everything if you ask me on the spot of anything. That's why it's funny when I do watch Jeopardy. I don't know 90% of what they talk about, but then they have that like sports category, and then nobody knows it. And I'm sitting there yelling like, "Are you an idiot?" Of course I know the answer here.
My favorite is that little screen cap of the nerds trying to pretend like they're playing basketball. Gets me every time. Gets me every time.
Well, thanks again to Austin. Once again, Old School coming up at 3 o'clock. Buck in the Black Shirt, I'll stick in studio. We'll welcome in Terrell Farley. Coming next year on 93.7 The Ticket.
Are you looking for something different for lunch or dinner in Lincoln? Big 8 is now open at 1226 P Street, serving seafood boils and Asian cuisine. Get your hands messy with fresh, flavorful seafood boils hot, cold, and made to share. Or enjoy classic Chinese and Asian dishes, perfect for lunch, dinner, or a night out with friends and family. Big flavors, generous portions, and a brand new dining experience. Big 8, now open in Lincoln.
MWR, a local company of Lincoln, is proud to announce they are able to offer their own post-frame building packages in metal to anyone desiring a building, whether you're a contractor or a DIYer. They can install your building as always, and they offer multiple different rib profiles and loads of color options, including the wood grain metal at great competitive prices. You can inquire at mwrbuildingandfence.com or just draw your desired building and submit it in their contact us page, and they'll get back